welcome to all our AO4 members and everyone who is attending this masterclass on climate and energy. I'm Crispin Baganda, and today, together, we're going to discuss about a few facts and common myths around climate and how, for instance, use of clean energy can lead into climate adaptation and mitigation. So, for the course of today, we have two main parts, and the first part will be about some myths that are current in our society around climate change. So we have those common myths which are spread all over, and then because we use different societies. So here we'll try to dispel some common myths around climate change. So people say that it's a hoax, others say it's a way to control population, others can say, oh, it's not a fact, it's just scientists juggling with numbers and all those myths. And the second the second part of our discussion today will be around how renewable energy can lead into a much resilient climate action. So how we can use renewable energy to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Renewable energy, will see why, as because like energy account for over three-quarters of all the impact on climate, and whether it's in terms of greenhouse gas emission or any other harmful emission which causes climate to change. And that is so. And at the end of those two module, we'll try to have a Q&A and then also a short quiz where we have different participants to ask and see if they were able to get what we share. So if we are together, just show me that we are together by hitting the like button so that we can proceed and start with our topic of today. Great. So I can see that we are all on the same page. And then without any further ado, let's start. So, as I said, we're going to start by dispelling some common myths with facts, some myths which are around climate change. So to start, let's see, first of all, we will dispel common health myth and misinformation, and then we will dispel them with data which are facts, scientifically proven to address this common misconception. Without going further, I would just like to start by my own community where I reside. I'm from the DRC Republic of Democratic Republic of Congo, and some common myth around climate change is that sometimes the mermaid can get upset and cause heavy rain, which disturb the environment, which disturb the local climate. So that's a myth, and it is believed around the community where I'm from. But I'm pretty sure that everyone in his own community has his own myth around the facts about climate change. But let's together see some of the commonly believed misconception or misinformation which are spread around different culture around the world. So one of the first myth is that global warming, is just caused by the variation in the sun output. So what he says is that the warming we are seeing has nothing to do with emission. It is due to the sun, which has always close changes to climates. So I'm pretty sure that everyone has heard this word. Like we are seeing climate change because of the movement of the sun. But the fact is that while historically changing intensity of the energy of the sun has affected the climate on the longer term, the fact is the recent 10 years have been the warmest recorded years since we started recording solar irradiation from 1990, like 1900. So out of the last 120 years, the last 10 years have the highest peak in terms of solar irradiation, which is the amount of the sun which fall on the surface of the earth. So this is not coincidence. And if we can look at the right corner of our screen, we can see that this graph here in red, which tracks the temperature, and the solar irradiation in yellow. So what we observe is that from 1980 up to 2020, the solar irradiation has somehow been constant with slight variation. However, if we see the temperature graph, we see that there's a sharp rise and increase starting from 1980 up to 2020, which is the last year that was recorded and which we use in our study. So we see that there's a sharp rise in temperature, and doubt me not, this is most likely coming from anthropogenic activities. This means it's coming from human activities. So we can clearly see the difference between the solar irradiation, which were on track from 1980s up to 1980s, and then from 1990s, there's a sharp increase in temperature. So that's one thing which can show that it's not about the solar irradiation here alone. There's something behind. But let's move ahead. The second myth is that scientists are just wasting their time arguing over a degree change. Such a small change in different doesn't really matter. Of course, one can say that a change of half a degree or 1 degree of the temperature around the surface of the earth is nothing. But let's be careful. We know that the melting temperature of the ice is around 0 degree, which showing that above that, the ice can melt. And if the ice melts, there can be catastrophic damages on the planet Earth. So we can assist from uh, high sea level increase, and then also we can have also loss of habitat from some species which live in the cold areas of the earth. So a small degree has a real big and huge impact. For instance, the whole cause, the whole agenda of the climate, the Paris Agreement, which will happen in 2015, it was trying to limit the increment of the temperature to maximum of 2 degree, if not 1.5 in the next 50 years. And so many nations pledged on that. So a few degree rise in temperature has higher consequences. So a temperature rise, the risk will be increased dramatically. So there are different facts comparing the rising temperature all over the world, and the consequences can be really devastating for everyone. The third myth is that renewable energy is not yet mainstream. That means that although we can use solar panels or wind energy, it's not really the best form of energy. As we know, or as we may be aware of, just to recall, the difference between energy and electricity. Energy is just everything that we use to produce work, and electricity is part of the energy. So energy encompasses like so many things, among which electricity, fuel, and heating. So all that is energy. And we're saying that the way we produce energy have a huge impact on the climate change and how our planet react to that. So for instance, is that if we continue to use our actual system of producing energy is solely based, or I can say up to 70% based on fossil fuel, oil, cars, and other pollutants. So while claiming that renewable power is not yet mainstream, is not true, and we should move from that, or renewable energy cannot be sustainable. We should move from that. So renewable energy is still a niche power source and just money making skill. That's a myth. Let's see the fact. The fact is that the share of renewable energy, total capacity expansion from 80%